Megan. I just wanted to ask you a few questions on International Women's Day. How did you first get into football in Jersey, and do you think the opportunities were different or the same for you as a girl?
So I first started playing football at St Clement's when I was 5 years old, and my best friend that lived next door was a boy, and he used to play at whatever age group that is, like a minis football, and I went along with him just because I was bored and I wanted to go along because he was going. I didn't want to stay at home, and then from there I played for St Clement's till I was 14. I think it is different because everyone that I know here that I'm now interlinked with because of football has played for an RTC, like played in all these different development areas. And I feel like with Jersey football, it's very fun orientated. Whereas I feel like over here, like everyone wants to be the best professional footballer and everyone will step on whoever they need to get to where they want to go. Whereas it's quite a family orientated in Jersey football. Like I feel like some people just want to play for fun, and then there's some people, like the goals of people are very varied, whereas I feel like everyone here that plays is playing because they want to be a professional footballer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say to other women or girls that would be looking to get into football?
I would just say find a team that you enjoy. At a young age, I think I made the mistake of headhunting the fact that I wanted to be a professional footballer from probably 10 years old. I was so obsessed and besotted by the fact that I wanted to be a professional footballer that I probably didn't enjoy junior football as much as I could have. And I think the more you enjoy it, the more you want to play, the better you're going to be. And I think the enjoyment factor for young footballers needs to be more important than sometimes it is. Yeah. So I would just say enjoy it and make sure you play with people you enjoy, play somewhere you feel comfortable, just express yourself without worrying long term way or what you do with that. Just enjoy the moment.
Yeah. In terms of like women's football, there's been obviously an increase in sort of audience and awareness over the last couple of years and a bit more of an investment. Have you seen that kind of in your experience, and has that sort of trickled down throughout the leagues?
Yeah, I think just over the last few years, women's football is being taken more seriously. And I think like we've got a lot more people watching us. We like when I played for Yeovil, like when they were in the WSL1, like they were on TV and stuff like that. And I'd never been exposed to that sort of thing. And I think as it gets more serious, it just means that more people take interest, more people come to watch. Like we would never have had like boys and men and like a whole family come to watch us before. And like now we get more people taking interest, like male companies that usually wouldn't sponsor women's football are sponsoring us. People are coming to watch. People are taking interest because they're seeing it broadcast to places that they are interested in, rather than them having to go and look to find out about women's football. It's just getting exposed to the world a little bit more and getting a bit more respect that it deserves, I think.
And how does that kind of feed into your hopes, I guess, for your own career?
Well, I just want to play as high up as I can. That's always been my dream. I moved away from home with that dream, and that hasn't changed in the 2.5 years that I've been here. And obviously COVID makes it difficult because no one's making any progression, no one's figuring out what they want to do. But I just want to play as high as I can and never lose the love that I have for football and just take it as far as I can, basically.
And so what do you think of the next generation of like female footballers in Jersey?
Yeah, I think because I played in a boys' league and I was the only girl in my age group. So Tash Keane was the year above me, and we were the only girls in both our age groups that played. And we played in all boys teams. You'd have to come in your kit because you weren't allowed in the changing room. Like you'd have to get changed in the toilet, and it just wasn't the experience that anyone would have wanted for their kid, I guess. Like it was hard, and we only played because we loved football and we had no other option. Whereas obviously now, like I had the privilege to coach Roselle girls who have some really talented footballers, and arguably if they were over here, they'd be getting a lot of attention. And I think if we have the right pathways, which the Centre of Excellence and stuff like that are really starting to create, and the exposure that they deserve, then I really do think that some footballers from Jersey can start to make a difference in England and get the attention and stuff that they really deserve.
Yeah, so I guess you've touched on this now, but would you like to see a Jersey Bulls ladies team in a kind of UK pyramid system?
I think it would be amazing. I think that sometimes people in Jersey fall out of love in terms of women's football because you play the same people every week, you know them all, you go to Jersey training, you play them at the weekend, and there's no that buzz you get when you turn up and you don't know the team, you don't know the ground, you're trying to figure it out as you get into the game because you only played them 2 weeks ago and you played them 6 times already this season. I think in terms of development, I think the players that they've got now, if they were able to get them away and get them playing teams that, one, are better than them, two, they don't know anything about them, they've got to react to the game and develop sides of their game that they can't playing at home. And I just think that it would be exciting with the talent pool that they've got that might be being wasted to a certain extent at the moment. I think that they could make a difference in England with some of the players that they've got if it was to ever happen. But I'd be a massive supporter of that if it was ever to be created.
Absolutely. And do you think, or do you have a view on what sort of level you think that team would be, like, with your experience of playing in the UK?
I think, in my personal opinion, between tier 3 and tier 4, there's a massive difference. So there's obviously, in my league, Southampton, who arguably should be playing a lot higher. And I think once you hit a certain barrier, like, it's taken so seriously, like everyone is playing and there's not so much room. There is room for enjoyment because everyone enjoys playing football, but it's quite cutthroat once you get to a certain level. And I think if we were to create a team, I think there would be a value in playing from the bottom and building your way up. And I think you learn skills as you go and being able to beat teams and create that morale rather than coming in at a high level and nobody enjoys it because you're losing every week. And I think they would be able to hold their own in probably tier 6, which is still a good standard. That's like, and it's just a lot of teams that are still developing their club, like new teams that have been created. And I just think that would be the kind of ballpark for the best development to keep it long term rather than going too high and not enjoy it as much.
Fair enough. And with it being International Women's Day, do you have a comment or a view about International Women's Day, or what we do to sort of celebrate women on this kind of event?
I just think that it's a positive that the world are now accepting that women are different to men, and just because, not even just in sport in general, like in every avenue of life, like celebrating women and men separately is okay, and it's not always a competition between men and women. Like, to celebrate women individually is amazing. Like, that would never have happened a few years ago. And in terms of football, women's do activity around it, and I think the fact that there's certain celebrations that shows you that people do care, like it's little things like that that keep people going, because it just shows that there is people out there that aren't like some people that like to bring down women and women's sport. And I just think it's important to remind people that the majority of people do support women and women's sport, and it's a minority that are the negatives rather than a minority that are the positives.
Yeah, I quite agree. Do you have a message for the Jersey Bulls team going into another season with a little bit of deja vu, having had the last 2 seasons kind of null and void?
Well, I think they just need to remember that the whole island's behind them. We have a family orientated, a little island that I don't think many clubs have behind them. Like, I think there's a massive support for them. Everyone's proud of them, and they will make it out of that league this year in my eyes. And I think when it does happen eventually, it will be just 3 times as exciting, and it'll feel so much better than if they'd done it the first year, and it will all be worth it in the end.
Brilliant.